Hi, it's Lorelei with Radiate Life with Lorelei, and here again. I have another video that I wanted to do, and so this video. I want to just say that it could be a trigger alert for some people, only because I'm going to talk about a story, and this again is a video. It's some information that about my own personal life, and again, we're putting out some context, some foundation, so that you know where I'm coming from and some experiences that have formed and shaped, who I am. So I learned early in life how sensitive I was, but I also believed that everyone else was as sensitive as I was, right? As a child, you believe everyone thinks like you and they have the same experiences that you do because you don't have any other way to understand that people see things differently or hear things differently um, at a very young age. You make this kind of overall generalization. So I was probably I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and my mom had always been a person who believed in God, believed in Jesus, and I'm going to say devout in a very sweet and innocent kind of way. Um, Definitely somebody who is also and is very welcoming, somebody that has a diverse point of view, somebody that she did things and said things that brought us to other families and other homes and other opportunities when we were, again, very young, maybe even 4 or 5 years old. Took us to places where people cooked different foods for us. And I remember that as a kid, how unique those experiences were. And I knew that was really important to her because of the things that she had shared with me. And this is especially, like I said, between the ages of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then there were some things that changed, dynamics changed in the family, and that around 10 years old. But anyway, up until that time. So the trigger alert, it just may be that maybe there's some things that you want to fast forward through. There isn't any kind of things that are graphic that I'm going to share, but they're personal, and I don't think I'm going to cry this time, even though, like I've said, they've been poignant and emotional. I'm going to tell them from the point of view, which is the only point of view that I have, which is my point of view, and I'm not perfect, and there may be words or things that I say that are not coming from a point of prejudice or coming from any kind of point. If you know me, you know that about me. But I also know within my own family, within my own children, within my own queer community, that even the word queer is something that I'll say, start with that. Like, I had a really good friend, and they used the word queer, and they were part of the LGBTQ community. And I told them, I said, I feel really uncomfortable using that word because it was a derogative term. It was used as a put down. It was used derogatorily, And there are other words in society that we don't use either because they also are very derogative. And that was one of them that they shared with me and said, no, this is, maybe it's a word that we're taking back, that we're stealing. Other people stole it from us, and we are going to be taking that back. I'm having an issue here. What's going on here? Oh. Okay. Has a mind of its own here today because I'm really asking it to do a stretch here. Okay, let's see if it stays there for now. So, anyway, thank you for the like who flew by and came and left. But so I just want to say that my own children have helped me learn about gender and about pronouns, and mostly, to me, the heart of everything has always been like that. I love you for who you are. I love you for who you are, that eternal being who's come here in this temporary form. I honor and respect you. I want you to be everything you are meant to be, and I don't want anybody to stand in your way. I brought in 3 beautiful children into this world, and I only ask them to be themselves. I only ask them to um, allow me to shepherd that process in the beginning, to come into this world and be creative and dynamic, to work out your own idiosyncrasies. And I did not give them a religion. My husband and I was talking about this the other day, and I was like, it's what we gave our children is we gave our children how to be a good person. We gave our children how to treat each other, treat yourself with respect, treat others with respect, teach treat nature with respect, teach animals with respect. And nature is their religion, nature is their church, nature is their place, their happy place. And during their childhood, my husband and I um, dedicated our time and attention to bringing them out to the parks and to recreation, into the lakes, and to wherever we could go. We did have some challenges in our own lives with different people in our family going through anxiety, and so it prevented us from going to hotels at times, um, definitely not getting on airplanes. So going away for some individuals in our home was not a vacation, and so we had to be really careful about what we were doing. And often my husband would take a subset of the family. That's pretty much how we did vacations, so that each person or subset of the family got a chance to get their needs met. And we did that in different ways. So that's all to say that beginning in my life, when I was very young, my mom had taken me to church, and it was just her and I that were going to church at the time. And it was the religion was Episcopalian, and there was, like I said, I knew I was a very sensitive kid because I would go out and I'd want to take care of all the birds or all the unhatched eggs and anything like that. I would want to nurture and take care of any creature, of course. And in Southern California, we had the mountains, and we had ample opportunity to be a part of nature. So when we went to this church this one day, I had gone there, and I was pretty shocked because, again, I'm about 5 years old, and my phone is going again, isn't it? I may have to just hold it. Okay, maybe that's it. It's going to be shorter then if I have to hold it. Maybe that's better. Okay, so we're going to church. I talk with my hands, so that's a little bit of a challenge too. So we're going to church, and I was shocked, and I'm going to tell you what my feelings were, and I'm going to tell you what the story was that was built around this. And being an innocent child, I saw some individuals, some people in my church, and they were bandaged up from head to toe, and they had to be helped in and out of the church. These were very young individuals, and as a child, I'm sure that I was staring at them, not intentionally, but I was so shocked because they were so young, and I was like, what happened to them? And so the story that I was told is that they were in a car accident, and I felt really, really bad. I felt some pain. I felt that pain for them, and it's not something I'd ever heard of. It's not something that my mom had ever talked about. I'd never really felt the pain of another individual. But looking at these individuals, I instinctively felt this pain, and I felt sorry, and I felt bad, and I felt horrible that they were in this accident. But there was this other part of me, again, that was, yes, it was horrible, and yes, this was awful. And yet, when I looked at them, I said, this does not look like a car accident. Like, I'm 4 or 5 years old. This made no logical sense to me. I'm like, those individuals look like somebody tried to kill them. That's what it looked like to me. And what it felt like to me, because I didn't have that reasoning part of my mind hadn't taken over the feelings yet, because I'm only 4 or 5 years old. But I saw those people, and I connected with them, and I felt really, really bad. And I felt really, really, really confused that there would be anybody in this world that would want to hurt another individual, let alone these really wonderful people in my church. None of that made sense. The car accident didn't make sense. The way that people were reacting, none of that made sense. And what happened was, later on in my life, as my own intuition became stronger, and probably more when I grew into a teenager, you go back and you revisit things in life, and now you look back at them and you're as a teenager, and you take yourself back to experiences you had as a childhood, and you question that. At least that's what I was going through at the time. And I just broke down and I cried because I said they were not in a car accident. But I could understand, where I was only 4 years old, that the story would have to be, oh, they were in a car accident, because that would be something I could relate to. They were not going to tell a 4 or 5-year-old that these individuals had been attacked just because of who they are, just because of who they love, just because of what they look like and who they stay friends with. I didn't obviously I don't know that whole story. I didn't know their story, but they were individuals in my church. And our church welcomed them and loved them. We were a very diverse community. I didn't even realize this. Again, being young, I was born into this. This were some of my very early experiences. And I felt really, really bad. And I'm like, this is not right. But I know the truth now. I know the truth, and that's not okay. And it's never going to be okay. And I don't want to live in a world where that is okay. So, fast forward to another part of my journey, and this time I'm in Kansas City, Kansas, and I'm at a Unity church. This is part of my metaphysical journey. I'd moved to Kansas City, and so this is after the year that I spent in the dedicating my time and energy to the Universal Peace Project, which turned out to be a nightmare. But I made my way through and stayed in this particular environment, moving now to Kansas City, Kansas. And I walked in there into Unity Church. It was the first time I was there. I wanted to introduce myself. Unity, Missouri, right? Unity is headquartered in Missouri. Missouri is where the community was that I was in, and now here's Kansas City. So I walk in, and again, obviously, there's all these individuals that are like, they're upset. You could tell something's going on, but they worked there, and they're at the front desk, and they were saying they had to like switch it up, like, oh, okay, here's someone we don't know, someone brand new, and I kind of say, oh, I'm here. I'm trying to be extroverted, and I just moved to the area. I just wanted to come introduce myself. I would like to learn more about what's going on here, and I wanted to, become a member. I wanted to participate, because that is one of the things they teach you to do in metaphysics, is you got to go out and you got to know your community and you got to participate. So I was genuinely interested, but this, again, the reason why I was doing it, and I had to do it now, was because I represented the school, and everywhere I went, it was very ingrained in me that I had to be on my best projected personality, right? Anyway, but that kind of takes away from the story, because what happened was, I could tell that there was this emotional thing going on, but then I could also tell they're like, oh wait, a person just came in, everybody, change this up, we can't be doing that. And I appreciate that. They were doing that because they were like, look, and this person doesn't know what's going on. And so anyway, this is normally what happens to me, is I kind of came into this situation that was emotionally charged, and I was like, hi, blah blah blah. And it happened so quickly, and I was trying to like take in so many things that I was seeing, and I was trying to register that and match that up with the things that I was feeling. And I only remember there was a really tall guy, and that he was there, and he'd been crying. And I remember, just because he was so tall, he was like I'm 5'6", and so he was over 6 foot, very tall. And I just said, you look like you could use a hug. Would it be okay if I hugged you? And he said yes. And so I gave him a big, really loving hug. And the part of this that you don't know about this story is, this is late 80s, this is early 90s. This is when the AIDS epidemic was just horrific. And what these individuals were talking about, these beautiful people that were there at Unity Church, were talking about some of their friends that had been diagnosed with AIDS. And again, this is a time in which a lot of people were afraid, didn't know about it, didn't know how it was spread 100%. There was a lot of ignorance, right? There was a lot of judgment. There was a lot of hatred, none of which I grew up. Not into my household at that point in time. I can definitely tell you that. And the most instinctual thing that I could offer is my hug, and they're like, "You're not afraid?" I'm like, come on, I'm not afraid. Believe me, I am not afraid. We got this. So I did develop a really good friendship for the time, a couple of years that I lived there. But that again was another poignant, like, why would I think twice about this, right? And there were some other things. Okay, so I wanted just to tell a couple other stories, right? And again, the only experience that I can talk about is my experience from my point of view. So there are some other this is crazy how many experiences that I had where I was, through circumstance, around other people who had to hide their sexuality, who had to hide who they were. And so they had to act a different part, be a different person. And I related to that in a lot of ways, right? Because of being essayed and not being able to be who you are and pretending to be someone else so that you didn't get hurt. There were a lot of things that I related to, not to say that that was my experience, but we only have our own experiences. So kind of the universal is, without going into some of these really personal stories, is I had a roommate who had a girlfriend. I had a coworker, and probably the biggest thing was my coworker could not reveal, although she, bless her heart, she did try. Um, she did try to see, not if I would be judgmental, but she mentioned music and she mentioned different things, and it never dawned on me why she was mentioning this type of music. And we traveled a lot together. Um, she was in the IT department and I was a trainer. And so we would have to travel all over the Midwest in order to do installations of computer equipment. And so when she installed it, then I had to go along to test it. But it worked out really well because we had each other to travel with and to go out to dinner and support each other, and it was really amazing experience. But the thing she could not reveal to me, or chose not to reveal to me, but I feel totally understanding that she did not reveal to me, that she had a girlfriend and that she was actually living with her partner and it wasn't just her roommate, right? And again, I'm in my early 20s, and it was only later that I really realized these things that she was trying to tell me. And at first, of course, my natural reaction was, I wish she would have felt safe. And then I had to realize it's not about me feeling that she could be safe with me. It was about her feeling like she could be safe. And this was her livelihood. And I felt like this isn't right, that a person can't be who they are because they're could actually lose their job, that they could be prejudiced against because our society supported that. And I always was an advocate, and that I always was a safe person. But even my own children and my own queer family have shown me that, there are other individuals that come into my house that have parents that were not supportive, that were detrimental, that tried to, I'm going to say some things like pray the gay away, that they tried to make their children be straight, that they were anything but accepting and loving and supportive of their family members or their children. children and teens and young adults who have no longer have a supportive family, women maybe never did. And so we're learning really about caring for each other and creating our own chosen family, by getting together and supporting each other. And that anybody that is toxic, that is not supportive, that is not a part of our positive journey moving forward, they have to go someplace else and choose other people, because we're moving forward and choosing, we have the ability to do that, right? And so a lot of that comes with even allyship with a lot of my friends, my personal friends who are really wonderful people, can approach me and say, I'm an ally. I don't have the kind of experience that you might have in your family. However, I want my children to be allies, and how can we do that, and what kinds of things can I do? And so we really appreciate that kind of one-on-one assistance and conversations. So I guess that's really all I wanted to say about that, other than even in my own beautiful family, my children came to me and shared their experience with life. And for us, we never like, we always, let's put it to you this way, so with all my kids, so all my kids were born male, but their gender is not male, okay? And again, I don't like to talk about my individual children, because they will talk about their own stories, although they're comfortable with me wearing my pride shirt, my P flag information, by saying, I support my LGBTQ kid. Like, wherever I can, I wear it. I wear a flag, or I wear a pin, or I wear my shirt. So it's 2025. We've installed a new president. And so one of the things, I'll tell you this, here's another thing. Another friend of mine who, in my metaphysical studies, really, really wonderful person. So he said to me, really honestly, he and I obviously had a good friendship, and he said, I can't hide who I am. He said, I read very effeminate. Small stature, small build, high voice, effeminate. And he said, it's almost a gift, because there is no way that I can hide, nor would I want to, but I cannot hide who I am. Who I am is who I am all day long. And people are going to read me, and they're going to assume that I'm gay, whether or not I am. And I was like, I really never thought of it that way. Like, I never really thought of it that way. Not in those terms, and being a friend. And this was before I had children, before I was married. This was a really long time ago. And so this year, with this new United States president, I said, you know what? My children, cannot change who they are in that way. And I wouldn't want them to. I'm just saying, we are who we are, And I'll just leave it at that. And so what I committed to do is to take a stand. And so during the week, for at least part of every day, when I'm going out, running my errands, doing my thing, whenever I can, I have purchased multiple shirts that state pride, that state who I am and who I stand for. Because I stand in solidarity with all the other people in this world who are who they are, and who are rejected, and who might be people against them just because of who they are. They are human, they have rights, and we all do. I stand for myself. I stand for my children, all people. I stand for my relatives. I stand for my non-relatives. I honor each one of us. And so I, with a beautiful appreciation and gratitude, wear my pride material, wear my pride shirts, wear my ally shirts. I wear all my shirts, because I want there to be no mistake where I stand, and who I love, and who I welcome, and that I am a safe place, and that I'm proud to do that, and I will do that for the next 4 years. And it's my own quiet way of advocacy, of kind of protesting, but it is my commitment for my kids and for all people. So I wanted to share just a little bit more about that and put this video out there. Again, we're laying groundwork. So you know who I am, you know where my background comes from. It comes from an honesty and an open heart. It comes from my unique perspective and my point of view. And as raised in the Episcopalian Church, I'll say one thing is that the Episcopalian Church, I grew up with women in the priesthood. That my particular priest, which I learned later in life, identified as gay, and he actively sought out other individuals in the community to welcome to our church. And so, again, to me, that was natural and normal, and it was a part of my everyday living from when I was 4 years old. So, I have to remind myself of what a unique experience I chose to have, and this is a one that I value. This is one that I'm grateful for, and that I'm grateful to be a person who is able to create with my beautiful 3 children an opportunity to live this life. Now, if you want to end on a high note, you probably want to end there, because I also have to tell you that unfortunately there's so much brainwashing and mind control that has gone on in the United States of America, where I live, that my family no longer supports me. That somehow my family decided that I am a bad mother, that I'm a bad person, and that my children are somehow not of their own mind. I don't know how else to say it, but they drink the water, and I did ask them point blank. I do, of course, I do love the memories that we have, and I highlight the very important things they taught me. However, I highly disregard and I highly discard that when I asked those who raised me if they felt that I was a bad parent, and if they believed some of the hate and the discrimination, and I don't know what else to say, the malarkey that was they were watching on TV, and they said yes, and we believe it's your fault, and you've made a mistake, and we think that you're going to be sorry. I'm like, I'm going to be sorry that I loved my children. I'm going to be sorry that I welcomed them into this world. I'm going to be sorry that I support them in who they are and how they identify in this world. That I'm somehow going to say that there is a mistake. I'm sorry, there is no mistake. The only mistake is that if you're not going to be a party to us growing, then you're not going to be a party to that, because I have been a mom bear with my kids, and I have been protective. And a lot of the angst came back on me as a parent, and people didn't understand it's complicated. It's complicated when you have anxieties. It's complicated when I didn't even realize and you're born into a type of trauma, identifying differently than everyone else, looking in the mirror. Like, I think my kids are brave, and my oldest is 22 years old, and they have given me ample permission to talk about my perspective and my story. And so my 22-year-old is an amazing, incredible person, and they're very active in their college with their Pride leadership into their community, and going out to high school students and talking to them about the college experience. So much so that they went from a relatively small group of individuals to 30 plus people in their Pride meeting this last month, which says so much, that so many people were welcome. There were so many people really came together to feel supported, to grow their group. And I'm so pleased with them. I'm so grateful for them. I'm so honored to be their mom. They did that, not me. I raised them. I did what I could, but you only plant seeds, and they're responsible for taking those seeds and nurturing them and growing them into who they decide to be themselves. And I'm grateful to be a part of that sacred journey. And so I will take the lumps that my own family would like to um, spread at me, because you know what? I can take it. But it's not okay for them to do that to my children. And I'm not saying that they don't love them, because that would be one thing that they say, well, we love them. I said, but you don't totally support them. You don't totally support me. So you have to look at yourself and see why your love is so conditional and why you've decided to be that way. Again, that's their healing, that's their learning, and this is not, this is not the first stop on the timeout train or the train of being a human again. Like, they're on the timeout train, and they can be there until they need no longer to be there. And that's not my saying, that's their saying. But I think there was something more I was going to say about that. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, so this is kind of a positive note anyway. So, um, I'll say it this way, because it's like this is for, so the journey for my children, my loved ones, my amazing people that came to our house to have their first experience within our house, um, came to me when they were, like I said, very sensitive, and communicated to me before they were born, actually, before I was even pregnant with them. And when I was pregnant with them, that was the time when I said there was a 10-year period where myself and 3 other people were facilitating a universal peace meditation every Friday night. And so there was other meditators. And if you've ever meditated, prayerful, there's this kind of feeling. There's almost a lightheadedness. There's a feeling of going into almost a sleep, but it's what they call the theta state, okay? And it's that also could feel like it's the state between being awake and being asleep. So anyway, we were in meditation, and I knew that I was pregnant at the time, and I don't think other people knew, but after a few times, somebody that I was very close to, she came up to me and she's like, did you see that like bubble? It looks like there's a baby in a bubble. She's like, is that your baby? I'm like, yeah. She's like, it was pink. And I said, yeah. And we did not have a test, an ultrasound at the time, because I'd gone to a natural doctor. But all is to say that sometimes the baby would project a blue light at us, and sometimes the baby would project a pink light at us. And it was just like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And so as that went on, nothing else happened. And it was always very interesting to me that later in life we did find out that beautiful soul was projecting beautiful right colors to us. And thank you.